And something else for you as well. They used to have one of these at Taronga Park Zoo in Sydney when I was a kid. And they're kind of cool. It's a floral clock, which they're a little hard to maintain, but I always like a good floral clock. Not that anybody needs it anymore because everyone's got a phone. But it is landscaped nicely and it's coming up really well because of the spring blossoming of flowers. So that's kind of cool. Okay, we've got car cam on now, which is a little bit different than we've done for a while. Heading past Adam Lindsay Gordon's cottage and fanging it around this lovely park in Wendouree, which has got lots of interesting things. I can't go that way, so I'm going this way. See what I mean about all of the European plantings here? All of the trees are European trees rather than local Australian ones. And so, shut your door, lady. And so we get a very European feeling park here. And straight ahead you might see Lake Wendouree. Can't touch the camera while it's operating because it's illegal. But we're going to go down around here. And I might do a whole loop of Lake Wendouree while I just talk at you. I think it's 40 kilometres an hour along here. The park where the Prime Ministers were is just over to the right here. Now it's quite a nice little avenue of Prime Ministers. I kind of enjoyed that, with a few notable exceptions of Prime Ministers who screwed the country over mightily at various times. But it's not a bad little walk, and it's probably the right time of year to do it. Springtime's always nice. Just going past the floral clock again. Better put my headlights on, which is something we do when it's cloudy. You just give that little extra bit of visibility. But yeah, there are trams along here. You can see the tram lines. There are like classic old trams that fang along here on the weekends. Ballarat gets very cold in winter. And it also sometimes gets a little bit of snow. Maybe once or twice a year. But I know it does get bitterly cold here because I've been here during the cold. And it's a classic old city. Weird thing is that once you get away from the waterfront here along the lake at Lake Wendouree, real estate prices are not too bad in Wendouree. You can really get a reasonable house cheaply if you don't want to live in Melbourne. And a lot of people I know, particularly creative people, have moved out this way because, writers and things like that, because it's an affordable place to live. There are a couple of universities around. It's really not a bad place at all. The air's fresh. The houses are cheap. You can get everything you need fairly easily. And if you need to go to Melbourne, it's only like an hour and a half train right away. So yeah, we're going along the lake now. And it's quite a big lake. And one of the things I like about Lake Wendouree that I found out just this month is that it has a population of my favourite Australian mammal, not marsupial, but mammal, which is the Australian water rat, the racali. And they all live along the lake and, they occasionally eat eggs from birds, but they're not particularly into that. They eat a lot of fish and things like that. But they are the native rat of Australia, and they're not particularly hostile creatures. They also do a really good thing in Queensland. I found this out too, which shows you how smart the racali is. Racalis, there's an introduced pest called the cane toad, which in the 1930s was introduced into Queensland to get rid of a pest that was affecting sugarcane crops. So they got the cane toads in, the cane toads went mad, and they're spread all over northern Australia. But the racali have a way of defeating cane toads, because cane toads are very poisonous. They exude poison from the glands on their backs. Their skin's poison, their meat's poison, all that kind of stuff. But the racali are a clever little bunch of rats. And so what the Ricali do to cane toads is they flip them on their back, they gut them, and then they eat their heart and their liver, which are edible for Ricali. So basically they just pick out the bits they want and leave the rest to rot. And they're really fighting against this mad introduced predator, which is incredibly obnoxious, not only in the way it looks, but in the way it affects the ecosystems. And the Ricali went, right, okay, what we're going to do is cut the giblets out of it and feast on them and just leave the rest to be. So I've got a lot of love for Ricali, just like I've got a lot of love for bin chickens, the Australian ibis. And along the lake shore, there are nesting populations of Ricali that I love. There's nice cafes along here too, and little boat sheds and things like that along the waterfront, as you can see just there. And Ballarat, for that reason, is a very livable place, but I'm not going to go all the way around the lake. You've got a fairly good idea of what's here. I want to take you and show you something on the darker side of Ballarat while I'm driving around, so I'm going to kind of peel off here at the roundabout, and we'll head down and see whether the memento mori is still there in Ballarat City. Tempted to come back here for a coffee. Haven't had a lot to eat today, and it is almost 10 o'clock, but we'll see how we go. As I said, see, nice houses along here, but as you get further along, the houses are a little more working class, and they're the ones that are a reasonable price for people to buy. Not like a lot of places in Melbourne, which are at egregious prices at the moment. By the way, I'm having a nice drive today. I'm really enjoying myself. It's, in spite of the weather, it's a very calming thing. I put my tunes on driving up from Melbourne, which is about 100 kilometres away. But my side of Melbourne's more like 70 kilometres from Ballarat. So I put my tunes on, just grooved to the tunes, and got into a zen zone while the rain was pouring. I'm driving up mountain roads. So I'm just going to go here and see if I can find what I'm looking for. We're heading into Ballarat City now. So in the 20th century, Ballarat, which is a big Catholic town, had a lot of child abuse. And if you look very closely on the fence, you can see ribbons hanging from the fence of St. Patrick's Church. There to commemorate the victims of childhood sexual abuse in Ballarat. And that went on from most of the 20th century and into the 21st century. And a number of the bastards were jailed, but not enough of them. And George Pell, who ended up being a cardinal, like second highest guy in the Vatican, was one of them. And I do know the father of one of Pell's victims. And Pell, all through his life, had very powerful friends who defended him. And he went to jail very briefly, but then there was a legal thing and he got out of jail. But he died a couple of years ago, but the man was one of the worst predators around because he defended other predators amongst other things. And he also started a thing where the Catholic recompense for the victims was limited because of something Pell put in and because of his powerful friends in government and business. So that's the sad side of Ballarat, is the victims of abuse. And every time they take the ribbons down from the fence of all the Catholic churches in Ballarat, the families and the victims put them back very quickly. It's never going away. It's going to be there for a very long time, and I think rightly so. It's a horrible piece of this history, and it's still being dealt with by the victims and by their families, and the court cases are ongoing still. Just a monstrous thing. And it's profoundly affected Ballarat. Now, there are a lot of mental health issues in Ballarat because literally hundreds of mostly young boys were victims of these creatures. So I'm just going to cruise around now and see what I can see. Maybe head out to Sebastopol or something like that. Even though the weather is egregiously bad, as you can see. It's a place here called Hot Temple, which is a hot yoga place. Ballarat is coming up in the world. If they've got hot yoga places, it's getting just a touch posh in Ballarat. But as you can see, it's very hilly. Most of the gold in Ballarat is alluvial gold, from what I understand. And so you know, people panned for it and dug for it. Whereas if you go up to Bendigo, there's dozens of kilometres of tunnels deep beneath the earth in Bendigo, which were there to dig out the gold, and they're still digging it out. And so there's like a vast underground city of tunnels. You can do tours up in Bendigo on the in the tunnels. Wonder if I should do that one day, do a video of it. I'm not claustrophobic particularly, so I can do it. I'm not, not squeamish to do it. But this channel isn't monetized yet, so I'm a tad reluctant to spend too much money on things until I start getting a little bit back. So if you haven't, please subscribe and leave a comment and tell your friends and do all of that jazz so that I can monetize the channel and put the money back into the content I'm creating here. We're now in Redden, and you might be able to see the old cottages here. There's a lot of them around, and that's one of the reasons why Ballarat and its environs has fairly inexpensive real estate if you just shop around and you're not particularly fussy. It's a bakery cafe there. Let's see, do I want to drive down to Geelong and swing home that way? I wonder whether I should. I've got enough juice in the car, so that's a doable thing. Might go at least part way and see what I can do. Might be able to get 2 videos out of this. That'd be nice. I'll do the Prime Minister's as one video, and I'll do cruising around Ballarat and things like that as another one. That might be the way to go. Extra content. Because this drive up to Ballarat is partly for the channel, then, all credit to that. But it's also a mental health thing, because country drives are part of the way I deal with my mental health. And so getting out and about is something I do there. Now, Geelong's only 87 kilometres away, which is nothing in Australian terms. It's a hop, skip and a jump. So I might swing down there and then swing back up to home and show you a little more of the countryside, even though it is quite dark today. There's like 4 layers of cloud above me, blocking out the spring sunshine. I didn't choose wisely when it comes to the date to shoot this video, but I wanted to get it done so I can do a decent edit on it. And today was the day I chose. This is the hard part, getting out of the suburbs of any city. Once you're out, you can fang it along the highway or even just the main roads or minor roads at 100 kilometres an hour. But the stop-start of town traffic doesn't thrill me. And I will try to find a bakery on the way because I'm a little bit peckish. I might try to get an early lunch and get a meat pie or something nice like that. And there should be 1 or 2 of them along the way. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a big skeleton on the roof of a building to my right across the road because Halloween's coming up. Spooky season, which is kind of cool. B road over there that goes to Hamilton. My name is Alexander Hamilton. Hamilton's a long way away. It's in Western Victoria. And the rain's picking up again as we pass an Aldi, my favourite of the supermarket chains. I did do a thing on Facebook where I said to my friend group, why is shopping at Aldi so much more pleasurable than shopping at Woolworths, which is the one over here on the right, or Coles? There's just something more fun about shopping at Aldi than shopping at any of the other supermarkets. And maybe it's the middle aisle of mystery. Maybe that's part of it. Or the weird stuff you find there. And that, you're wandering around, you go, I'd like that food. I didn't know supermarkets had that food. I'm going to get that food, that kind of stuff. There's a place over there called Golden Nugget Bakery. They've got a few of them It's a drive-through bakery, which is kind of random, but I approve this message. In case you hadn't guessed, I'm highly caffeinated at the moment. I had a dirty chai latte with an extra shot of coffee in it, and I'm feeling the buzz, not in a jangly, fingertips tingling kind of way, but just in a general sanguine, fairly high level cruising altitude buzz, to quote Scott from Planes, Trains and Everything. Yeah, I'm just feeling the buzz at the moment. Cruising in the car is fun. I could visit my friends Glenn and Carol, except for the fact that Glenn and Carol are working today, because they live out this way too, just off to one side. I'm not going to dox them, so I'm not going to tell you where they live. And we got a Guzman y Gomez here, which wasn't there before. Cool. Don't mind a bit of Guzman y Gomez. Decent, healthy food. Yeah, Halloween's a bit of a weird season for me. I like the spooky stuff. I like all the horror stuff. And watching horror movies and trick-or-treating. I don't mind kids coming around trick-or-treating. I actively encourage that, as does middle-aged geek girl. For me, the problem I've got with Halloween is I'm allergic to pumpkin, so I can't carve pumpkin. I can't drink pumpkin stuff. I can't eat pumpkin stuff. I can't eat any of the kind of gourd vegetables. Yeah, and I'm fine with that because I don't particularly like them. The smell of them makes me nauseous just because of the allergic thing. So that side of it is kind of fraught for me. So when I see people carving pumpkins, I get this sympathetic pain where my hands get itchy skin on them when I'm watching people carving pumpkins. Because I used to work in a restaurant where I had to make the pumpkin soup, and eventually they gave me rubber gloves to wear to make the pumpkin soup with, because I was getting a rash on my hands from the pumpkin. Yeah, there's a lot of stories I could tell you about my 8 months working as a kitchen hand in a restaurant in Sydney, where we were delivering food to illegal casinos up the road, and the boss's wife kept flirting with me. Because, believe it or not, at one stage I was quite, a flirt prospect for people back in the day. I'm now incredibly decrepit and aged, but in my day, I was not entirely unflirtable. And I've still tried to keep my hand in. So, yep, we've hit the edge of the city, and we're now heading into the countryside. Not a particularly wide road. I really want to get the Great Ocean Road done from the channel. Do a driving vlog along the Great Ocean Road, which is one of the truly great drives in Victoria, all along the Southern Ocean. But you've got to kind of be strategic with the Great Ocean Road, because weekends it's rammed with people, a lot of whom don't know how to drive because they come from overseas, they hire a car to go to the Great Ocean Road, and they forget which side of the road to drive on. And there are signs all over the Great Ocean Road reminding people that Australians drive on the left. And then not only do you get that as a problem on the Ocean Road during the weekends, and summertime in particular, you also get people stopping randomly in great numbers on the side of the road to look at koalas, because there are a lot of koalas on the Great Ocean Road. So what I've got to do is do it like a Monday or a Tuesday for a Great Ocean Road drive. And it's, like nearly 300 kilometres if you do it right. And so it's not an insignificant drive. And the trick is to do it in the morning, because you're travelling east-west and you don't want the sun in your eyes. So you want to keep the sun behind you on the Ocean Road. And so you go early in the morning. And I might do it fairly early in the morning too, because as you head toward the Ocean Road, you see a lot of kangaroos and swamp wallabies on the side of the road. And so I want to capture a bit of that on the camera for the people who don't see a lot of kangaroos and swamp wallabies. So I'm kind of planning that trip, and I want to do it probably early November is like your prime time to do it. It's before tourist season. It's before the summer holidays, which come December, January. And it's before a lot of the nutcases come in from overseas. So we'll see how that goes. But I definitely want to do it because it's really curvy ocean road driving, and I love it. It's like Rosanna Brasi at the start of the Italian Job kind of driving, and I really enjoy that. Where are we? We are in Bunningyong. And I checked the weather and the radar before I left home. And what I'm trying to do here is get south of the rain, because there are big bands of it that are coming in from the west. And they're big long bands of rain. And if I get to Geelong, hopefully I can kind of get south of the rain. It's not guaranteed because weather is chaotic in this third decade of the 21st century. But we'll see what we can do. Into Bunningyong. I wonder if they got a bakery here where I can eat meat encased in pastry, because I've got a craving for a meat pie. Meredith. I can actually cut home. I don't have to go all the way to Geelong. If I get to Meredith, there's a road that cuts off to the left where I can get home and just that bit quicker, because I still get a lot of nice countryside to put for the video, but I don't have to drive quite as far. So I'm going to drive to Meredith, where they have a Meredith Music Festival every year, which may be coming up soon. I'm not sure, but I think it might be next weekend if it wasn't last weekend. Though. So we'll see what we can do. And I know there's a general store that sells meat pies in Meredith. Possibility. And by the way, I will be putting into this vlog and the previous one a bunch of maps. One of the good pieces of advice I got from the comments is that I should put a map in to tell people where I am geographically in Australia. And there was a bakery there, but I missed it. And I'm not going back. Always move forward. I'm like a shark. But yeah, I'm going to put maps in here to show you where I'm going and help with the geography for people. I think more travel vlogs should do that. Just pop up a map, give people a general gist of where you're going. Because we tend to have an assumption when we're traveling places with which we're familiar to assume that everybody knows where you are. And that's definitely not the case with a global platform like YouTube. And in case anybody was wondering, and you probably weren't, what I've got as a car is a RAV4. It's about 10 years old now. We got it new back in the day. And we didn't use it a lot during the lockdown, so it's still doing great. But Toyotas, I find, are great cars. They're just workhorse cars. They keep going forever and ever. And they're not prone to eccentricity the way a lot of other cars are. So we like Toyotas in our family. I know there are a lot of people who like, and they don't make them anymore in Australia, the Australian brands like Holden's and the American imported brands we used to make in Australia, like Ford's. But I like a Toyota. They're very much working class cars in a sense. And every time I drive the RAV4, which we call the Yeti, around posh suburbs, people look down at you when you're driving a Toyota in a posh suburb. Most of them are driving Tesla, so ha on them. But more people are starting to drive BYDs. And if I had the money to upgrade, I would probably go a reasonable BYD, because my friend Jamie and Sarah have one. And for electric cars, they do really well. We're now into Scotsburn, which is named after a Gaelic venereal disease. And we're fanging it at 100 kilometers an hour, which is good. I wouldn't want to go much faster this kind of weather. Though to get up to Ballarat, the speed limit on the highway going that way is 110 kilometers an hour. And it was raining heavily, and 110k in heavy rain is just a little tiny, itsy bitsy, teeny bit beyond my comfort zone as far as driving is concerned. And they got wineries down here, like temperate wineries, because the terroir is correct for growing grapes. So occasionally, on the outskirts of Melbourne, you get some reasonable wineries. Up around the Yarra Valley, there are a shit ton of them. And I should do a Yarra Valley drive at some stage and just show you all the wineries out that way. But I won't be able to partake because I'm driving, of course. And there is a big tourist business in bus tours of wineries in the Yarra Valley from Melbourne. So the people, whether they're tourists or just alcoholic, can go on a bus tour, drink a fuck ton of wine, and get the bus to take them home. I don't know how many buckets they have on those buses, but I've got a feeling, though, a lot of people get sick on the way home because they've just stuffed themselves full of pate and wine and, got on a bus going on a windy road back to Melbourne. It's a recipe for disaster. Hang on, I actually did. Back in the mid-90s, I did one bus tour of the Yarra Valley with someone who will not be named. And I don't remember people getting sick, but I remember it boring the shit out of me for some reason. It's like winery tours and bus and ghost tours I don't like. I've been on 3 ghost tours, one in Melbourne, one in Hobart in Tasmania, and one in Edinburgh in Scotland. A, never saw a fucking thing. B, it was always cold. For some reason, we went on ghost tours when it was cold. And C, boring. So, Sal's taken me on 3 ghost tours. And I'm not going on anymore. I've drawn a line in the sand. I'm not going on ghost tours because ghosts don't exist. If they did, Elon Musk would own one. But they don't. And so, I'm not going on any more ghost tours. Even though the Edinburgh one ended on a nice note, because we went through all the vaults under Edinburgh, and I got a dram of really nice whiskey at the end of the ghost tour. Fucking froze my ass off. But it was a really smooth, peaty whiskey that I got at the end of it, and that made it about 30% better. The other good thing about it was the woman doing the ghost tour was very cute. 2 pluses, but a lot of minuses. So we're now well and truly out of Ballarat and in the countryside. We're basically on a raised ridge near the Brisbane Ranges, just travelling along the ridge line at the moment through hobby farms and country second houses. Wonder why it's only 80 kilometres an hour along here. I think this is a road you can do 100 kilometres an hour on comfortably, but the limit's only 80 here. And having said that, it just changes miraculously as if I conjured it to 100 kilometers an hour. I must be a road magician. And of course, the rain has followed me because I'm a rain magnet. And we got a few wind turbines up ahead, which have got to be fairly new because last time I drove this road, they didn't put up any wind farms yet. But as I said, we're on a ridgeline at the top of the Brisbane Ranges. So it's probably a good place to whack up a little windmill or two and generate a bit of power. You might be able to see them ahead if the camera's resolution gets to it. Cool. And they're all spinning today. There's a few of them. There's like a dozen at least. Wind turbines up here. Remember back in the day before the pandemic when there were all these people who said the wind turbines made a noise that affected their health and that wind turbines were making them nervous and, loosening their bowels and doing all sorts of other things to them. That one faded away because it wasn't real. It was just a whole bunch of shills for the fossil fuel companies getting a whole bunch of people who were suffering from nervous dispositions to act like it was caused by wind turbines. Glad we got rid of that particular moral panic. Okay, got to get down enough slower here because there's roadworks ahead. It's not a country drive unless you get roadworks. There's a couple of turbines over here in the canola fields which look kind of cool. I might pull over and get a shot of these. Maybe not here, but a little further along. No, it's not really a good shot I can get. But I will try to turn the camera around so you can see them a bit more on the other side. That's another thing I like about wind turbines. You don't realize how big they are until you get up close and then you go, wow. Big bugger there. And they're all in the canola fields. And it's facing the wrong way now. Camera's gone random on me. It's facing exactly the opposite way it should be. Come on. See? It's right next to us, really. There's another one just close by. Good thing it's a quiet road, so I don't need to worry about people being here. So I'm still more or less in that part of the world. Didn't want to go too far afield today because of the weather. And that person just threw mud up on the windscreen. The bastards. And I just did it again. Not conducive to travel vlogging. Muddy trucks. Let's see, where are we? We're in the Golden Plains Council area. And we are in Meredith. Heritage Walks, Police Paddock Reserve, Heritage Stroughton Street Village. And now we're on Bitumen Road for a little bit until we get to Meredith. But I'm definitely stopping at Meredith at the general store to get a meat pie. Got plenty of water, but I'm craving a mystery bag. And I prefer meat pies to sausage rolls because the thing about meat pies is there's less variability than there is in sausage rolls. I've eaten sausage rolls in a lot of places around. And yeah, there are some that are marvelous and wonderful and make your mouth have an orgasm. But there are other ones where you make your mouth want to end itself. So you can't tell until you put it in your mouth. But meat pies tend to be more reliable for some reason. So we're going with the meat pie. And we're in Meredith now. We're not quite to the general store. There, we're on the end of the bumpy bit. But I've been here a number of times. We're coming up on the intersection where the general store is. Yeah, we're going to cut through to Stieglitz, which is a ways through to where I need to be. But before we do, here's the post office and general store, where I'm going to pull up and scran a pie. With this, I got 3 things. I got a battered Frankfurt, and I got my meat pie. So I'm going to make this lunch as well. So I'm going to sculpt those while I drive. Now it's time to get on to Stieglitz and through Stieglitz and out the back ways to home. So I'll put you all on the front and we'll get going. This is a bit mountainy, this road, a little bit hilly, but it's quite a nice drive, so I will enjoy it while I enjoy my Frankfurt in batter. That hit the spot. I'm going to have the pie a little bit later. But the battered Sav was just what I needed. And the weather's turned a little bit soggy again. So I'm taking this road a little slower than I would otherwise. We kind of like these roads more than I like freeways. There's a lot more, maybe the word's texture to them, which I appreciate. And I just got a phone message saying that there is mail for me in my mailbox. So I might head through there on the way home. And let's do 60 like it says as we go down the gully here. With the windy. Oh, that's a good place for a bump or two. Right when you've got to do a sharp turn, suddenly the road gives you a bump. This is not the best road. Cuba's Bridge on the Moorabool River, which is a river that goes all the way down to Geelong. In case you missed it, we did skid just the tiniest bit coming down towards the river there. There's a bit of loose gravel in it. I couldn't see it. So we are now officially in the Brisbane Ranges, which aren't really tall mountain ranges as these things go. But compared to a lot of the Western Plains of Victoria, which is what we're kind of in, they're fairly significant hills and lots of gullies and things. So they get to be called ranges. We're now kind of at the top of one of the ridges here. And people are sending me messages on my watch, which links up to my phone. So I'm going to have to stop somewhere and just see what's happening in the world when we get somewhere a little bit less up and down. This is actually the Stiglitz Historical Park, according to a sign I just went past. I'm talking a lot. I'm filming a lot of stuff here. It almost feels like I'm doing a live stream, though it isn't live and I don't have chat scrolling on my right-hand side. But it does feel a bit like that. Now, I follow a few driving vlogs on YouTube, and one of the weird things about them is that it feels like they're going a lot faster than they are when the camera is going through the showing through the windscreen like it is here. And it always feels, maybe because I'm watching it on a fairly big monitor or on a TV screen, it feels like things are a lot faster than they are. So you're probably getting a little bit of the same of that. And from my point of view, I'm not going quite as fast as you might think I am. Yeah, I'm not the Stig. Remember the Stig? Remember when Clarkson didn't have a face like a footing? And James May didn't look like an old lady? Maud, 9 kilometres. See, they're all named after chicks. We're like chick territory, where all the towns are named after Meredith or Elaine or Maud, all of whom sound like perimenopausal ladies from the 19th century. If you're married to an Elaine or a Maud or a Meredith, I apologise. Or if you are one, I apologise even more. The other question I got for you while I'm doing a driving vlog is this. Do you have a good internal map for yourself? I talked this over with Sal, and I'm really good at traveling to places, just looking at a map before I go, and then traveling to places without needing the GPS going. And so I've got a good internal map knowing where I'm going. If I don't know the exact specifics, I know a direction and I know some of the roads, and I can usually get somewhere fairly easily. But Sal and a lot of other people just don't have an internal map to the extent that I have. I mean, 2004, I did dead reckoning, traveling through Dubai on the north side of the river in Dira, which is more, at least was at that stage, the more Emirati part of Dubai. And I dead reckoned from the Gold Souk to the river, going through all of these alleys. We went through like 15 different souks, a street where they only sold shoes and another where they only sold small electrical appliances and all of that. And I did reckon all the way through. Couldn't see the sky because there are awnings over it. It's a hot place. You put awnings to protect you from the sun. And I did dead reckoning for like 2 kilometers through these tiny alleyways to exactly where we needed to be. So I've got like special skills. My superpower, in some cases, is getting from A to B. But a lot of people don't have that. Now, I just wonder what it's like not to have it, to find the world a more bewildering and weird place than it would be otherwise. Must be scary. And yes, of course, I have Google Maps as a backup for things. Everybody has that now. But I try not to rely on it more than I need to. I'll take a look at it before I do a drive like this, so I know where I'm going. And this part of this drive was random too. I just decided to do it on the spur of the moment. But a lot of my stuff is just, okay, I want to go there today. I know how to get there. I know how to get back. Or I just do it. And so I've got like its vast library of internal maps of not only in Victoria, New South Wales. I know my way around the top end of around Darwin pretty well. I know Perth pretty well. I know Adelaide kind of sort of pretty well. I definitely know Sydney and New South Wales. Brisbane, not that good. I've only been there once. North Queensland, I've only been there once. But for the places I've been, I'm really good at working my way around. And it's not something I'm proud of particularly. It's just for some reason, the way my brain works. It's an innate skill. It's not something I've tried to cultivate or learn. It's just it. And a lot of people don't seem to have that. And when I do get lost, I never worry about being lost for the simple reason that I know I can find my way around. And we're now out of the ranges a bit and into the open areas. And we're going to cut across the plains and find my way home via my mailbox. Looks like the sky might be temporarily clearing up, which would be nice. So I'm going to let you enjoy this without my verbiage, and I'll talk to you in just a little bit. Okay, we reached Maud, which was named after B. Arthur. Just a little Bunjil's Lookouts here. I've actually come back to Bunjil's Lookout. Shit, how did I do that? I'm back where I did my last driving vlog. Totally by happenstance. I'm not going back there. Okay. We're through Maud and just fanging it at 100 kilometers an hour along the straight is probably going to end this vlog here. So thanks a lot for coming along for the trip. If you enjoyed the video, please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, do all the things, leave me a comment, let me know whether you like this kind of thing, and give me some feedback on what you think I could do to improve it. I'm always happy to take on the feedback. You can also support the channel by becoming a patron at patreon.com/CherryTalksMovies. I'll be back in a week with something else. Might do something a little more urban next time, just for shits and giggles. So until then, look after yourselves. Enjoy your travel, and I'll catch you next time.